Hello there, my name is Ben, and a very warm welcome back to PLAYtheGAMEcentral, and actually, back to where it all began. Welcome to Derice. Okay, it's the wrong Derice, technically it started in World at War, but I wanted to go back to the very first video where I knew that I wanted to make YouTube videos. And it was a video that Doonan and I made about every gun in World at War Derice and the Pack-a-Punch upgrade, and it was available on my very old channel. Doesn't matter what that was, but a very old channel, and it was the very first YouTube Call of Duty weapons guide. There was nothing like it at the time, and it inspired a lot of people, including us again, to do our own revisited versions of it. And we're going to be doing something really interesting soon, so I wanted to kind of bring this up, but not ruin it too much. So, but I wanted to talk about where we've come from, because Play the Game is technically 4 years old now. A couple of days ago was our birthday. Hooray! And thank you, a lot of you said happy birthday, and we really appreciate that. But it's come a long way, and I wanted to talk about quite openly what's happened specifically fairly recently, but the kind of build up from where the Play the Game came from, because it's quite an interesting story, and you know, Play the Game is very different from how it started, and obviously the progression is much better than we used to be, but it's continuously trying to be the best that we can, and that's changing again now. So I wanted to explain it. Play the Game started completely by accident. You know, I had my own YouTube channel, some with some quite serious numbers at the time, because it was very popular back then. Then I left for about 7 months, and this was just after Derice, actually, so that was one of my final videos at Derice thing. And then I started to think about, you know, there was a gap between World at War and the next Tryout game. And I wanted to do something interesting for the next Tryout game. And so I made my own little kind of advertising campaign for it. And it went remarkably well. Like, it kind of, people got engrossed in it, and it was an interesting time, and I wasn't the only person involved. In fact, I didn't even start it. It was someone else who started it, and I kind of took it over, and it became my kind of child, and I kind of looked after it for a bit. And Play the Game literally started from a fact that we needed to put people somewhere, because there were a lot of people following it. And so I created a forum with the help of 2 other guys who are now back here, and we created what was the first PlayTheGame.co forum. And we had a lot of people on that. You know, a lot of people were interested in what we were doing, because we hadn't actually announced the fact that, you know, we were behind this kind of advertising campaign, and no one really knew what it was about. But it wasn't really anything. It wasn't advertising Play the Game. It was just a campaign. It was just for fun, and we were talking to people in weird voices and things like that. And that progressed and progressed, and we started to make YouTube videos with some of the people who were following Play the Game at the time. And we started to kind of get involved slightly more with YouTube. And, you know, it's always been a bit of a hobby until recently, Play the Game, because, to be honest, until recently, the money's been a bit weird at Play the Game. And I'll get onto that as I'm going to be candid with you. I will talk about money, and I'll talk about YouTubers and making money, because a lot of people want to do that, and there are reasons for and against that. So yeah, then Play the Game kind of kept evolving, and we kind of got more directors, they were called at the time, directors. And, you know, we went through quite a few directors. I can't remember 95% of people that were at Play the Game. No, 80% of people that were at Play the Game, because I just don't remember their names or what they did particularly. Although I did look through the Play the Game Co. I did do some searches recently to see if I could remember some old names, and I don't remember any of them. I'm not very good with names though, but it's just interesting to see. If I look back at Play the Game Co. at the time, I thought that was really good, and it was better than most people. And to look back on it now and think, maybe YouTube's evolved a lot, because the content we make now is ridiculous in comparison. Like, it's pretty good, and you know, that evolution continued for a long time. And I got actually the end of last year, I started to get a bit kind of not bored by Play the Game, but you know, I had other things coming in that seemed more important at the time, and probably were more important at the time, to be honest. So I kind of took those over and left PTG with Boot for a bit to kind of keep the ship sailing. What was that saying that I think Steve Jobs said that his job at Apple was he was the captain of a ship that had a hole in the bottom of it, and his job was to get the ship pointing in the right direction. And that's kind of what Play the Game is about, because YouTube's a very hostile, very, very hostile environment, and Play the Game, you know, we could have literally wrapped up and said, fuck this, a long time ago, but we didn't, and we kind of stuck at it because it was fun, and it was never really a job, but it was fun for us, and we kind of kept at it because why not? You know, it was just a little thing that we did on the side. You can't really do YouTube, even the biggest YouTubers. I know some of them who have other jobs as well, because physically it doesn't earn that much money. Regardless of what people post and what newspapers say, it's not as good as a lot of people think. So it's good. I mean, it's good if you've got millions. And of course, there are people around us who have a lot of millions. And but yeah, sometimes it's people don't always earn what you might think they earn. And so, you know, we kept striving and striving to push forward. You know, there were people growing bigger than us. There were people around us collapsing. And, you know, that's always going to happen with YouTube. But our goal at Play the Game was just to create, well, my goal at Play the Game at the time was to create really good content that you guys wanted to see. Because I know you like these kind of videos where I kind of update you, but I like to make the slightly more, as you'll be seeing soon, elaborate videos. And I like to spend a little bit of time making videos. You know that about me. And there are some other YouTubers probably somewhere who like to do that, probably not in gaming as much as I do, but there are some other YouTubers who like to spend time making quality videos as well, I'm sure. I just can't name any off the top of my head, because YouTube seems to just be full of weird, very quick videos that are very easy to make, that are literally used to whore in views, and you know, that's not really what we're about, and we've never ever been about that really. But you know, we always take the piss out of a lot of people, and I recently got blamed on my channel for all those videos I did on Nuketown. Those videos were literally pointing fun at the people who are now trying to point fun at those videos, so I can't win. Like I was saying to Joey yesterday, there are some people on YouTube where you just can't win because they don't understand. They're inept in the brain department and they can't understand these things, or do they just don't want to because they're young? I don't know. But the other thing is that our audience, as saying young, our audience has evolved with us, because you know, they were slightly younger than they are now, 4 or 5 years ago, and you know, they grow up, they grow out, they come back. You know, a lot of them come back, which is good. You know, a lot of people last year, or was it the year before, I can't remember, there's kind of like a little exodus of community members, and then they all came back, and it's like, right, well, that's really nice to think that they have a home. And we get long kind of essay messages at Play the Game about how we've helped people or affected people or just entertained people, because that's what we do. We are entertainers. And yet there are people who are so angry with us. It's like, oh, I hate Play the Game for this, this, and this. And I just think, right, that's cool. All we've ever done is serve you hopefully entertaining content, and you're angry at that. You can not watch it or unsubscribe, or you can vent to all of your young mates about how much you hate it. That's cool. But, you know, there was a bit of an issue this year. You may have remembered I don't even know how long ago now, 2 or 3 months ago, there was an internal issue at Play the Game. And we lost 2 people from Play the Game who, 2 or 3, I can't remember, 2 I think. And one of them was Boop, which is really unfortunate, because Boop was kind of... Play the Game was his life. He was kind of Play the Game, and you know, he did this when I wasn't here. He kept it going and he kept it strong. Well, he kept it going, and you know, but it wasn't his fault that it wasn't strong. After every Call of Duty, there's a downtime, which is what I wanted to get onto in a moment. There's a downtime, and I'll talk about that in a moment for aspiring YouTubers, but he was left with a pretty difficult task of keeping this ship going in the one direction, you know. And that's not easy for anyone to do. And then there was an internal conflict to Play the Game. And literally in the period of a week, I came back, and I think 2 weeks later, it I came back with a very specific idea with Play the Game because I'd had it for a very long time, and thank goodness I did have it, because now Play the Game is kind of growing exponentially, and it's ridiculous in terms of how much money, if I'm honest, is coming in now, because this last month was 4 times what we had. 4 times, no, this is 4 times the most we've ever had at Play the Game. So think of that in 1 month. I mean, that's a lot of money. In fact, in terms of how much money we make, I don't want to give you a figure, but Will Mensch alone, and you can see how many videos he put out in September. We got paid for September 2 days ago. I say we got paid, I don't take any money, and they can all prove that. But in September, Will Mensch alone earned more than Play the Game has ever earned in 1 month period on his own. Think of that. Will Mensch alone, and you can see, I think he put up 5 or 6 videos. He alone earned more than Play the Game has ever earned in 1 month. And Rowan was just, I mean, yeah, okay. It's doing well at Play the Game, but there's a reason for that. And that reason is not me, but it's this new ethos that I brought back to Play the Game, because Play the Game was growing very distant in terms of the relationship between, they were called directors at the time, they're not called that anymore, it's just our creative team, and I like to call people by their names now, unbelievably. I like to call humans by their human names. It's weird, isn't it? And it was just, it needed to happen because they were growing apart, there was arguments, there was complaints, and it wasn't a great time to be part of Play the Game. Play the Game was also plummeting fairly rapidly, and that's a big issue. But it comes from many things. The content was one of them, I guess, because the content, to no one's particular fault, was in a lull. There was a lull. Extinction went down like a hooker on meth. It was terrible. It wasn't, okay, the game mode might have been all right, but the response was fairly negative in terms of what we're normally used to. And so Boop was given a really hard time in terms of trying to get out daily content. And so he had to rely on daily content just to keep the views up, because otherwise where's the money coming from? So when I came back, I leveled the playing field, which did snuff people's noses, because I think what happened is that Boop thought that he'd be earning less with this new venture, this new idea that everyone earns what they earn. Like, for instance, what happens, we look at the month's views that have been accrued for September. Say that's the last thing we did 2 days ago. We looked at all of September's views that were created by new videos in September. Then we divided those up into percentages and then found out who had what percentage that month. And Rowan in September did very, very well. Will Mensch did well. Wang Time did well, though Wang Time wasn't being paid at the time. He now is. He was being paid, but I was paying him personally. Imagine that. I'm back at Play the Game and I'm actually paying for people to work and I'm not getting money from it. And I get shouted at still. Can you imagine this? It's just mental. But anyway, I love Play the Game, so I wanted to succeed. But now Wang Time is taking, as of this month, is now decided to take money from Play the Game. And the whole idea is that their intention now is to make videos that get views. Videos in our ethos that get views are well-made videos. Look at Rowan's videos, Wang Time's videos, Mensch's videos. They're all really good now. And they may not have been in the past, and they'll openly admit that. Maybe not Rowan because he's Irish, but the others will openly admit that. I'll admit that I've made some videos in the past that I can't think of many, but I'm sure there are some that I wasn't particularly fond of or didn't want to make. And that's the worst thing, is making videos you don't want to make. What's the fucking point? It's beyond me, but there are channels that do it now. So we make the videos we want to make. We make them as good as we can, literally as good as we can. And we hope they get views. And if they don't, they don't. But it affects us personally because it's the money. They get paid from how many views they earn. And I think Boop thought that he'd be earning less money, but actually it would be the opposite. I think if Boop was still here, he could be earning 2 or 3 times what he was already earning, because Rowan's already earning twice what Boop was earning. Imagine it. It's crazy, but I think at the time it snuffed his nose because he thought that he'd be earning less. And then other people left and he kind of got dragged as part of that issue. And I still, to this day, I don't really want to talk about other people who left, because in terms of Play the Game, like what we do is we write off people because you have to survive, because there's no point in worrying about anything, because, you know, Boop has the option to come back and play the game. He always will. He's a good friend of mine, and I want him to succeed. And it's very, very unlikely that he'll succeed if he does a new channel on his channel, because it'll be stillborn now. That's what they call it at YouTube. They call it stillborn, which is new channels tackling an already oversaturated market, looking to expand and evolve with views. And that's particularly difficult to do now. And it's not that he can't do it, it's just that why waste another fucking 4 years of your life building what we've already built? And, you know, Play the Game has never been stronger. It's a really positive atmosphere, which is one, we all help each other, which again is really nice. You know, if there's certain things that each of us are good at, we look after them. You know, some people do specific things, like Wang Time looks after the Google Plus, he looks after the channel in terms of graphics and stuff. Will Mensch does Facebook, etc., etc. There's a lot of people doing different things, and all kind of, that's why they call the creative team now, because it's not just directorship, it's not just making videos, there's so much more to it. And I trust them implicitly with the kind of vision of Play the Game, because they now feel a part of it. They feel like what they, I hope they do. Well, you know, we talk often about this, but and we try and, I'll get on in a moment. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but I don't want to be. You know, they feel a part of it, and I hope they do. I'm sure they'll attest to feeling like they're a part of Play the Game, because before they weren't getting paid for what they were doing. And I know that money isn't the be-all and end-all, but, you know, there are people who don't get out of bed for £100,000. I'd get out of bed for a tenner. You know, seriously, I'd get out of bed for a quid. Seriously, I'm not all about the money. I don't take money from Play the Game, but it does motivate people. And you can't say it doesn't, because it really does. There are people who aren't motivated by money. And I know Rowan isn't particularly motivated by money, but he's at uni now. He's a student. He needs money. And he's doing fucking good work when he can, because obviously he's busy now with uni, but he will be doing Borderlands videos and Destiny things and lots of things. But that money, he's earned that money. And you feel good about that. When you earn money from a positive outlet, you feel good. I mean, of course, because it's your hard work being rewarded. And that's what never happened to Play the Game. And it was vitally unfair, and you could feel it as a subscriber. I was a subscriber at the time, and I felt like there was this real divide, and there was a big divide. And that's all been solved and rectified. And, you know, I don't know what Boop's planning on doing. You know, if he wants to come back, he can come back in a heartbeat. You know, he knows I love him, and he can come back and do whatever he wants. But things have changed since he's left. And people like Warren, who are very busy now, he's got, you know, work on, but I'm sure he'll be back. You know, there's a lot of people still around and still, you know, involved with Play the Game. It's just that they're either busy or preoccupied, and it's quite a difficult time in terms of that at the moment, especially with Rowan, because he's at uni and is in his last year of uni, and it's all kind of kicking off. So as and when he gets time, I think you'll be seeing really interesting videos from him. But in the meantime, I'm going to pick up his slack and take it forward. Talking about new channels now, I realised something about a month ago, which is that so many people's channels were born of Call of Duty and in Call of Duty. And many of those channels died because of Call of Duty. What that means is that those channels became reliant on Call of Duty. And yet every year there's a 7-month lull or a 6-month lull, depending on how DLC works, where your channel is kind of in free fall. And a lot of people can't handle it. A lot of people have sold their channels. A lot of people have moved on to lowest common denominator stuff like vlogs and things like that. Really shit content just to kind of keep people remotely interested in their stuff. I'm not dissing vlogs, by the way. It's good. They're just very easy to make, and everyone knows that. It's not a secret. It's just I always feel a bit uncomfortable about putting an advert on a vlog, because it took me 8 seconds to make, apart from recording it. So I mean, I'd rather, you know, put an advert on something that took me 3 hours to make, because I'd feel slightly more proud of that. You know, we have pride at Play the Game in what we do, and I know a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, like 2 or 3 people will say we don't, but we do, and I hope you can see it in our quality. And You know, we've been uploading 60 FPS for the longest time. It's just YouTube's now reconverting all the old shit back to 60 FPS because I don't know why. Like, I uploaded a 60 FPS video 2 days ago and it's not coming up as 60 FPS, even though we've all been activated as 60 FPS. So I don't really know what's happening with that. But we've been doing that for a while. I did 4K for a long time, then realised people hated it. It wasn't just they didn't want it. They were complaining about the fact things were 4K. And as I said, there are some points in which you cannot win in terms of trying to entertain people and bringing someone a quality product, and yet they still complain. I hope this is coming across as mental as it sounds to me, because, you know, I really appreciate your guys' support. And, you know, I've told you hundreds of thousands of times that I appreciated your support. You know, at the end of every video, I normally say it. And it's heartfelt support, because what you're doing by watching this video and leaving a like or subscribing or any of that stuff is you're supporting a team of people now that I consider a second family. You know, I would, and subsequently recently have, given some of myself to another person to help them in some way. And I don't want to go into that, but I will do all I can for those who I trust and love as friends, obviously. There's nothing gay about this. It sounds a little bit gay, doesn't it? I'll try and tone back the gay. All right, my mates, they're wicked, yeah? And you're just like, well, helping them out, yeah? So I'm like, wow, banging appreciate that. And I'm like, well, fucking happy with how it's going, all right? Is that better? I think that was better. That's a better take. But I keep saying but like I'm about to say something really important. And this isn't a massively important video, but I just wanted to give you some perspective with Play the Game, because, you know, there will be people who say negative things about Play the Game, and that's fine. Let's see your quality videos. Seriously, show me a video of yours that could rival... Show me your best video, and let's see if it rivals my best video. And then if it does, I'll shut up. If it doesn't, you can fuck off, all right? Let's try that. I think those kind of people who have a genuine interest in trying to show how bad Play the Game is, A, they're looking at Play the Game 6 months ago when I wasn't even here, and it was a completely different Play the Game that they're complaining about. And now Play the Game is this kind of completely different thing, and they're still complaining about shit that most of us weren't even involved with. So it's quite difficult to get your head around these people's negative reactions. But the best thing to do with negative people is to kill them. Literally, physically stab them in the eye with toothpicks and additional cutlery, because they're not worth my time on YouTube. Because why are you complaining about people who entertain people? You know, I have done it in the past, and it's only now that I have perspective where I realise that people, you know, I don't like view whoring. That's annoying, because I think, for fuck's sake, have some pride in what you do. But for people who are just, you know, like PewDiePie, I used to complain about him, but actually I realise that he is entertaining a lot of people. And so I wouldn't particularly say anything negative about him now, because I know a lot of people get a lot of love from watching his videos, and they really appreciate his videos. You know, I may not watch them a lot. I've subsequently recently watched 3 of them in a row, which, you know, my eyes didn't fall out, believe it or not. And, you know, it's since actually working a bit with YouTube that I can kind of appreciate these things a little bit more, because I understand the market that they're appealing to a little bit more, and that's fair dues. So I wouldn't ever complain about something like that. But when it comes to really misleading titles, things that have a question mark at the end of them, which drives me mad, even though, you know, I don't like any of that stuff. You know, my no videos are actually pointing fun at the fucking idiots who believe in that shit. And if you want to call me out to say that those videos are whoring, do it. I don't mind. That's absolutely fine with me, because it's supposed to be laughing at people who do that, yeah? So you can do whatever you want. That's absolutely fine with me. But I'm going to continue making them in the future, because I find them quite entertaining, because, I don't know, it's something about how they're made that because they're not actually that easy to make either, because you've got to find specific things and timings to make the best possible place it can be. I'm rambling again. Play the Game has changed. I'm hoping you're enjoying the content. We're really open to your thoughts and ideas for Play the Game, and we also have this thing called the Roundtable. I'm going to be bringing a Roundtable video, I think, tomorrow, with the first Roundtable ideas and stuff. So if you don't mind watching that and giving it, you know, a kind of scrutinous look, then that would be really good. I really appreciate you. I know a lot of you appreciate what we do. I know there are some who don't appreciate what we do, and that's absolutely fine as well. You can't win over everyone's hearts, but if you're watching the videos, I thank you. If you're disliking them, I don't mind. If you're liking them, that's great as well. Like, just thank you for being around, guys, okay? Because it's a hard time for a lot of channels at the moment. We're doing well because we've diversified into a lot of different IPs that we're really enjoying, and we don't want to make videos that we don't want to make. We will be covering Advanced Warfare in some way, in some capacity, but if we don't enjoy it, we won't be, okay? And that's all I'm going to say about it. We're not going to be making content that we don't want to make just to appeal to a market that we don't want to be in anymore. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to leave a like, cheers. If not, cheers or fuck you. And have a disgustingly sick year.